In 1788, the brigantine the Mariner's Folly was swallowed by an unnatural fog in the North Atlantic, vanishing without a trace. 2 centuries later, a cabin boy from that same ship was found alive, not by the sea, but beside a forgotten freshwater lake, hundreds of miles inland. His mind was gone, scoured clean of his ordeal, save for a single, terrifying memory. A song that promised a way home, but led them somewhere else entirely. This was not a rescue. It was a delivery. For this lake, known to locals as the Well of Sirens, was not a sanctuary, but a destination for ships the abyss had claimed, a chilling geological paradox that held a secret more terrifying than any shipwreck. If the idea of an ocean with hidden pathways and a song that leads to impossible destinations captivates you, then you have found your port of call. Subscribe to the Maritime Chronicler and join our global expedition into the abyss. Your support allows us to unearth these forbidden histories, ensuring the world's most profound maritime mysteries are brought back into the light. Yet, over 2 centuries later, far from the churning Atlantic, nestled beside a forgotten freshwater lake in a remote coastal valley, an old man was found, emaciated, his eyes distant and clouded with a profound, unshakable terror. He was identified by a faded tattoo, a small anchor entwined with a rose, a mark unique to the crew of the Mariner's Folly. He was Finn, a cabin boy long presumed swallowed by the deep. But Finn was not at sea. He lay on sun-drenched grass, muttering feverishly, his frail voice a raspy whisper of an endless journey, a crushing pressure, and always, always the song. It led us, he would cough, led us home, but not to the waves. What ancient secret lay coiled beneath that tranquil lake? A place the locals had long called the Well of Sirens, a place where the lost were sometimes found, their minds shattered, their memories erased, save for the echo of an impossible melody. It was a question that haunted Brother Silas, a traveling monk and chronicler, whose meticulous, water-stained diaries, discovered centuries after his own disappearance, held a chilling final entry concerning the Well of Sirens, a stark, desperate scrawl written just before the ink bled out into the page. They are not in the sea. They are beneath us, far from the roaring highways of the modern world. Nestled deep within a forgotten coastal valley where the wind sighs through skeletal pines and ancient stones stand sentinel, lies a place of profound, unsettling quiet. A lake, but not just any lake. Its surface, often still as polished obsidian, held a peculiar, unnerving darkness, reflecting only the brooding sky, never the verdant slopes that cradled it. The locals, a hardy, insular folk whose lineages traced back to forgotten Norsemen and Celtic druids, spoke of it in hushed tones, calling it, with a mix of reverence and dread, the Well of Sirens. This was no whimsical name born of fanciful tales. It was a moniker, steeped in centuries of chilling anomaly. For this lake, known on some forgotten cartographer's parchment as Lacrimosa, the Weeping Lake, was not a mere freshwater basin. It was a geological anomaly, a hydrological paradox. Beneath its seemingly tranquil surface, the bedrock was riddled with a labyrinthine network of subterranean passages, vast aqueous arteries that delved hundreds of feet through the Earth's crust, through ancient limestone and Precambrian granite, reaching the very heart of the open sea, miles distant. It was a secret maw, a hidden gullet connecting the serene inland to the crushing, boundless chaos of the abyss. For generations, the few families who clung to this isolated stretch of coast had passed down tales around sputtering peat fires and in the shadow of ancient standing stones, stories of figures often found washed ashore near the well's banks after a great storm at sea, or after a ship had inexplicably vanished without trace. These were not the drowned, bloated corpses typical of the ocean's harvest. No, these were living souls, though barely. Emaciated, often feverish, their eyes wide and vacant, their minds clouded by a profound amnesia that had scoured clean all memory of their ordeal, of their journey to this impossible inland sanctuary. Yet a singular, haunting detail always remained. When pressed, when coaxed by village elders or the occasional traveling monk, these lost souls, whether mariner or merchant, would speak of a sound, a song. Not a melody of joy, nor one of sorrow, but a sound that was both. A chorus, ethereal and irresistible, that had called to them, promised them solace, promised them home. It was a siren song, not of the classical rock-strewn shores, but of the deep, of the subterranean dark, a melody that led them not to a watery grave in the ocean's embrace, but to this improbable, landlocked pool. The air around the well, especially as twilight deepened, was said to carry faint, almost subaudible whispers, a phantom chorus carried on currents that defied the wind. It was a place where the logic of man faltered, where the ocean's boundless mysteries seeped inland, carried by an unseen current, a forgotten conduit, and a melody from the very heart of the earth. The first recorded instance of such a perplexing recovery dates back to the early 16th century, a time when maps were still being sketched in the blood of explorers, and the sea was a canvas for both miracles and monsters. In the spring of 1509, after a particularly brutal winter gale had ravaged the northern shipping lanes, a small, battered fishing skiff was discovered adrift near the well's northernmost shore. Its mast was snapped, its hull stove in, yet clinging to its waterlogged timbers was a man. He was barely alive, his skin translucent, his eyes wide and unseeing, staring up at the pale sky. His name, later ascertained by a distinctive silver signet ring depicting a stylized raven, was Ulfric, a sailor from the Nordic lands, a crewman of the Sea Raven, a renowned longship from Bergen, which had vanished without a trace months prior off the coast of Iceland. The Sea Raven had been presumed lost with all hands, swallowed by the icy maw of the North Atlantic. Yet here was Ulfric, hundreds of miles inland, in a freshwater lake, with no logical explanation for his presence. The villagers who found him described his state as one of profound, almost catatonic shock. He would shiver uncontrollably, even in the warmth of a fire, and his gaze would often fix on some unseen point beyond the walls of the cottage where he recuperated. He remembered nothing of his ordeal, nothing of the Sea Raven's final moments, nothing of his journey inland. His mind, it seemed, had drawn a merciful curtain over the horror, but like all those who followed, a single, persistent echo remained. When asked what he recalled, even in his moments of lucidity, his eyes would cloud over, and he would murmur, a hollow, reedy sound, the song. It was like ice and fire. It called my name. He would then fall back into a fitful slumber or a silent, trembling vigil. Years later, in 1573, a similar event unfolded. A young woman, her clothes rich but ruined, was found shivering on the stony banks. She was identified by the exquisite embroidery on her bodice as Alara, daughter of a wealthy merchant from Lisbon, who had been aboard the Golden Hind, a carrack that had vanished off the coast of Brittany during a notorious fog. Alara, too, was a ghost of her former self, her mind adrift. She spoke only in fragmented sentences of a path of light beneath the waves, and voices like the sea's own lament, promising peace. The pattern was emerging, chillingly consistent. These were not local wanderers. These were individuals from ships lost in distant, stormy seas, yet brought here, to this impossible inland sanctuary, by an unseen, unheard force. Each discovery deepened the enigma, weaving a tapestry of awe and existential dread around the Well of Sirens, hinting at a truth far stranger and more terrifying than any common shipwreck. The scattered, perplexing incidents, initially dismissed as isolated curiosities or the ravings of fevered minds, began to coalesce into a chilling pattern as more captives of the well were discovered. It became horrifyingly clear that these were not random unfortunates. They were, without exception, survivors from vessels long since given up for lost, ships whose names were etched into the grim ledgers of maritime history as having vanished without trace. The identification was often painstaking, relying on a patchwork of unique clues: a distinctive family crest on a signet ring, a rare coin carried as a good luck charm, a peculiar knot in a sailor's scarf, or the specific, painstaking embroidery on a noblewoman's gown. Each piece of evidence, though seemingly trivial, became a thread in a tapestry of impossible coincidence. Take, for instance, the case of Captain Elias Croft, a name still whispered in hushed tones among the old salts of Cornwall. His brigantine, the Sea Witch, a swift and agile vessel, had disappeared off the treacherous coasts of Ireland in the brutal winter of 1632. A seasoned mariner, Croft was known for his caution and his almost preternatural ability to navigate the most violent gales. His disappearance, along with his entire crew, had been an enduring mystery, a dark stain on the maritime charts of the era. Yet nearly a decade later, in 1641, a man was found huddled near the Well of Sirens, delirious and muttering about the deep song. He carried a carved wooden pipe, intricately shaped like a mermaid, a unique gift Elias Croft had commissioned from a craftsman in Plymouth. Further, the man's left arm bore a faint, faded tattoo of a compass rose, a private mark known only to the captain and his most trusted first mate. This man, though his eyes held no recognition and his mind was a shattered mosaic of fear and fragmented images, was confirmed by his surviving family members to be Elias Croft himself. The captain, whose ship had been lost hundreds of miles away, was now an empty vessel, beached by the well. The realization was stark, terrifying. The Well of Sirens was not merely a site of strange recovery, it was a destination, a final port of call for those whom the sea had claimed, yet inexplicably had not truly consumed. The objects found upon these survivors, a rare type of Baltic amber, a fragment of silk from the distant Spice Islands, a specific brand of Portuguese tobacco, allowed scholars, centuries later, to cross-reference their identities with manifests and shipping logs from all corners of the globe. The connections were undeniable, chillingly consistent. Each survivor linked to a ship that had disappeared under mysterious circumstances, often in calm waters or during unnatural fogs, rather than in the fury of a conventional storm. It was as if the ocean itself, or something deeper within it, had chosen these vessels, drawn them into a hidden maw, and then, inexplicably, ejected a single, broken soul from its depths, delivering them to this unlikely inland lake. The question that clawed at the minds of those who learned of these connections was not how they survived the sea, but what had truly brought them here, and what unspeakable truth had been wiped from their minds, leaving only the haunting echo of a song. The whispers and fragmented tales of the Well of Sirens might have remained confined to local folklore, a chilling regional curiosity, were it not for the meticulous, almost obsessive dedication of one man, Brother Silas. A Franciscan monk of the 17th century, Silas was no ordinary cleric. He was a chronicler, a scholar of ancient texts, and a reluctant traveler whose journeys had taken him from the hallowed libraries of Rome to the windswept monasteries of the Celtic fringe. He possessed a mind that saw patterns where others saw only chaos, and a spirit that, despite its deep faith, was drawn to the shadowy edges of the known world. Silas first heard of the Well of Sirens during his pilgrimage through the remote valleys of the coast, a chance encounter with an old fisherman, his face a roadmap of sun and salt, who spoke in hushed, fearful tones of the lost ones found by the lake, sparked an ember of intellectual curiosity within the monk. This ember quickly ignited into a consuming fire. Unlike the local populace, who viewed the well with a mix of dread and superstitious avoidance, Silas saw a profound mystery, a challenge to the established order of the natural world that demanded rigorous investigation. He began his inquiry with the zeal of a true anomaly investigator. He sought out the descendants of those who had found Ulfric and Alara, carefully recording their oral histories, cross-referencing their accounts with the fragmented church records and local chronicles he could find. He spent countless hours poring over old shipping logs and admiralty reports, comparing dates of disappearances with the dates of the well's captives being found. His meticulous nature unearthed the horrifying consistency. Ship after ship lost to the sea, yet a single, broken survivor appearing by the lake, always bearing the same mark of amnesia, always haunted by the same elusive melody. Silas's most invaluable tool, however, was his diary, a series of leather-bound journals written in a precise, elegant hand filled with observations, theories, and increasingly desperate questions. He recorded the changing moods of the well, the strange atmospheric pressures he sometimes felt near its banks, and the peculiar, almost imperceptible hum that occasionally emanated from its depths on moonless nights. He noted the local superstitions, the warnings of the elders, and the fear in their eyes when he spoke of venturing too close. To Silas, this was not merely folklore, it was data. Each whispered tale, each fragmented memory of a song, a crucial piece of a puzzle that transcended the simple boundaries of human understanding. He believed, with an unshakable conviction, that the Well of Sirens held a secret, a profound truth about the ocean's hidden pathways and the very nature of existence itself, and he was determined to uncover it. If the chilling accounts of the Well of Sirens have captured your imagination, if the whispers of the deep stir a primal curiosity within you, then grant us a moment. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join the Maritime Chronicler on our ongoing voyages into the darkest, most enthralling mysteries of the abyss. Your support allows us to continue unearthing these forgotten tales. As the seasons turned, Brother Silas's inquiry into the Well of Sirens deepened from academic pursuit to an almost spiritual obsession. His initial dispassionate observations slowly gave way to a profound, unsettling immersion in the mystery. His diary entries, initially formal and detached, began to reveal a man increasingly consumed by the enigma. "The silence of this place," he wrote in the summer of 1655, "is not empty, but pregnant with an unheard sound, a vibration just beyond the ear's grasp." He spent weeks at a time camped by the well's edge, enduring the biting coastal winds and the oppressive stillness of the nights. He spoke to every local who would tolerate his questions, piecing together fragments of ancestral memory. One old woman, her face a roadmap of wrinkles, recalled her grandmother speaking of the water that breathes and the voices that steal the mind. A weathered fisherman described hearing a low, mournful chant from beneath the surface on particularly calm, moonless nights, a sound that made his fishing nets feel impossibly heavy and his heart race with an unnameable dread. Silas meticulously noted every detail, every chilling anecdote, searching for common threads. It was during these lonely vigils that Silas himself began to experience the unsettling phenomena. At first, it was subtle, a faint ringing in his ears, a pressure behind his eyes that no amount of rest could alleviate. Then, as the nights grew colder and the veil between worlds seemed to thin, the whispers began. They were not words, not distinct voices, but rather a chorus of resonant tones, a complex overlapping harmony that seemed to emanate directly from the dark water itself. It was a sound that bypassed the ear and resonated deep within his bones, a profound, almost physical vibration that held a strange, compelling beauty. Tonight, he scrawled in a diary entry dated late autumn, the song was clearer, not a song of human tongue, but of elements. It speaks of depths, of currents, of a journey without end. It promises a return. But to what kind of home? He described feeling a powerful pull, a magnetic allure to the water, a desperate urge to plunge into its inky blackness and follow the source of the melody. He often had to bind himself to a nearby tree with rope, or press a crucifix hard against his chest to resist the overwhelming compulsion. The song was seductive, terrifyingly beautiful, and utterly relentless. It played upon his deepest longings, the quiet yearning for spiritual peace, for ultimate understanding. It was a siren song, indeed, but one that lured not with false promises of earthly pleasure, but with the deceptive balm of ultimate knowledge, of absolute oblivion. Silas was no longer merely chronicling. He was a witness, a victim, teetering on the precipice of the very madness that had claimed the others. He felt the well calling to him, whispering secrets of passages and abyssal currents, inviting him to join the silent procession of the lost. And he knew with a chilling certainty that he was very close to answering. The final entries in Brother Silas's diary read like a descent into the maw of an ancient cosmic dread. His elegant script grew hurried, almost frantic, interspersed with sketches of strange, swirling patterns on the water and cryptic notations of pressure changes. "The call grows stronger," he wrote. "The ink smudged. The well breathes. It is not merely water, but a living throat." He spoke of understanding, of a revelation dawning upon him, a truth about the interconnectedness of all waters, of a hidden world beneath the world of men. He was no longer content to merely observe. He was compelled to enter. On the night of October 23, 1657, under a sky choked with heavy, starless clouds, Brother Silas embarked on his final, ill-fated exploration. He had prepared meticulously, with a scholar's precision and a madman's resolve. He carried a heavy, lead-weighted rope, marked at precise intervals, a waterproof oil lamp, and a small, specially crafted lead casing for his final diary. He left a note, pinned to the door of his makeshift shelter. Simple and stark. "I go to meet the song for truth." The few locals who saw him that evening spoke of a man transformed. His eyes, usually sharp and inquisitive, held a strange, luminous quality, a distant, knowing gleam. He moved with a quiet determination, like a man walking towards a preordained fate. No one dared to stop him. The well had claimed souls before. It seemed now to be claiming its chronicler. The following morning, the silence around the Well of Sirens was absolute, heavier than usual. The air felt cold, even for late autumn, carrying a faint, unsettling scent of deep, undisturbed earth. The monk's small shelter was empty. His few meager possessions lay undisturbed. But by the water's edge, half submerged in the dark, still water, lay the lead-weighted rope, its length unspooled into the depths. Near it, a half-submerged oil lamp still flickered feebly, its flame struggling against the encroaching water, casting a faint trembling light on the wet stones. And clutched tightly in a waterlogged satchel, miraculously preserved from the damp, was Brother Silas's final diary. The last pages were a chilling testament to his descent. The script was almost illegible in places, smeared with what appeared to be mud, and perhaps something darker. He described the water growing colder, the light from his lamp struggling against an oppressive, absolute darkness. He spoke of the song intensifying, becoming a physical presence, a vibration that threatened to tear his very being apart. He felt the pull of a current, powerful and inexorable, drawing him deeper into a vast, echoing chamber. He described strange rock formations, impossibly smooth, and a sensation of profound, ancient life all around him. The final entry, scrawled in a hand that trembled with a mixture of terror and revelation, was only a few words, broken and desperate, the ink bleeding out into the page, as if dissolving in the very water he described. The light, it fades. The song, it is not what I thought. They are not in the sea, they are beneath us. And then only silence. Brother Silas, the meticulous chronicler, the brave investigator, had become another of the well's mysteries. His final words, a chilling pronouncement of a truth more terrifying than any myth, left behind to haunt those who dared to seek answers in the Well of Sirens. Centuries later, the meticulous, if unsettling chronicles of Brother Silas lay largely forgotten, gathering dust in the obscure archives of a small, disused monastery library in Brittany. They might have remained there indefinitely, another forgotten footnote in the vast, sprawling history of human endeavor and folly, were it not for the serendipitous convergence of two modern minds. Enter Dr. Eris Thorne, a maritime historian from Oxford University, whose specialty lay in the enigmatic disappearances of pre-industrial sailing vessels. Dr. Thorne, a man with a keen intellect and a healthy skepticism for the supernatural, was initially drawn to the Silas diaries for their detailed meteorological observations and naval records. He dismissed the Siren song and Well of Captives as local superstition, the ramblings of a zealous monk in an isolated community. Yet the sheer volume of Brother Silas's cross-referenced missing ship data was undeniable. The monk's detailed, if fantastical, accounts of finding survivors from ships like the Mariner's Folly and the Golden Hind aligned with actual historical records of vessels whose fates remained utterly unknown. Simultaneously, Professor Ilara Vance, a brilliant, if eccentric, geoacoustician from the Scripps Institution of Oceanography, was conducting a remote sensing study of unusual subterranean water flows along the same coastal region. Her instruments had detected anomalous, deep Earth resonant frequencies emanating from a specific, geologically peculiar valley. Frequencies that suggested not mere underground rivers, but vast, interconnected aqueous systems, some of which seemed to pulsate with an inexplicable, low-frequency hum. When a junior researcher, cross-referencing old maps, stumbled upon the Well of Sirens and its peculiar local legends, the name resonated with the strange acoustic data. It was Dr. Thorne who, after a chance meeting at a historical conference, suggested to Professor Vance that she examine Brother Silas's diaries. Vance, initially amused by the monk's supernatural leanings, quickly became captivated by the precision of his observations, particularly his notes on atmospheric pressure changes and the strange vibrations he felt from the well. The monk's descriptions of the song, though couched in mystical terms, bore a chilling resemblance to the psychoacoustic effects of certain infrasound frequencies, the very phenomena Professor Vance was investigating. Together, Thorne and Vance initiated a discreet, multidisciplinary expedition to the Well of Sirens. Their modern equipment, advanced sonar, seismic sensors, and highly sensitive hydrophones painted a picture far more complex than any monk could have imagined. They confirmed the existence of immense, previously uncharted subterranean caverns connected directly to deep-sea trenches. The well was indeed a geological conduit, a vast underwater artery, and from its depths, their hydrophones detected it, a persistent, ultra-low frequency hum, a resonant vibration that was both powerful and, to the attuned human ear, profoundly unsettling. It was the song Brother Silas had recorded, stripped of its mysticism, yet no less terrifying in its scientific reality. The old monk, for all his fervent faith, had been more accurate than anyone could have dared to believe. The Well of Sirens was real, and its secrets were beginning to reveal themselves. The convergence of Brother Silas's ancient chronicles and modern scientific instrumentation led Dr. Thorne and Professor Vance to a series of compelling, albeit unsettling, rational hypotheses regarding the Well of Sirens. The first and most foundational was the subterranean aquifer and cave system hypothesis. Geological surveys, leveraging advanced ground-penetrating radar and seismic imaging, revealed that the Well of Sirens was not merely a lake, but the visible mouth of an immense, intricate network of flooded limestone caverns. These caverns, formed over millennia by the corrosive action of groundwater, plunged hundreds of feet below the surface, snaking through the Earth's crust. Crucially, these surveys confirmed Silas's intuitive, though mystically framed pronouncement. These inland caverns were not isolated. They connected directly, through colossal, submerged tunnels and fissures, to a series of deep-sea trenches and abyssal plains miles offshore. Imagine a vast hidden plumbing system, a colossal natural siphon, where the crushing pressures of the deep ocean could, under specific conditions, create powerful, directional currents within these subterranean conduits. Dr. Thorne theorized that certain rare confluence of oceanic storms, tidal anomalies, or even underwater seismic activity could create a draw effect, a powerful suction current that would pull surface vessels into these hidden maws. We found evidence of what appear to be ancient, massive sinkholes on the seabed, explained Dr. Thorne in a recently declassified segment of their research paper. Gigantic underwater depressions that could act as funnels. A ship, caught unaware in a sudden localized downswell, could be pulled down, not by a conventional whirlpool, but by this immense, sub-oceanic current, funneling it directly into the cave system. Once a vessel was pulled into this dark, crushing embrace, the journey through the subterranean labyrinth would begin. Professor Vance's hydroacoustic mapping further supported this. Her team identified specific choke points within the deep cave system, narrow passages where the velocity of the water, driven by these abyssal pressures, would increase dramatically. A ship, even a large one, if already compromised by the initial descent, would be battered, stripped of its rigging, and eventually broken apart by the relentless, grinding force of the water. Yet, small pockets of air, or even individuals clinging to floating debris, could theoretically be carried along these currents. The geology here is unique, Professor Vance noted in an interview with a specialized maritime journal. The limestone is highly porous, almost like a sponge, allowing for a vast, interconnected system that channels water with incredible efficiency. It's a natural conveyor belt, albeit one of immense, terrifying power. The individuals found at the well were not swimming against the currents. They were carried by them, ejected by the shifting pressures and the natural upwelling that occurred at the shallower, inland end of the system. This hypothesis, while still requiring further exploration, offered a startlingly plausible explanation for the impossible phenomenon of ships vanishing at sea, only for their crew to reappear, broken but alive, hundreds of miles inland. It suggested that the ocean held not just visible dangers, but hidden geological traps, vast unseen pathways that could swallow ships whole and deliver their unfortunate passengers to an unexpected and terrifying final destination. It was a rational explanation, yet one that did little to diminish the profound sense of awe and existential dread that clung to the very name, the Well of Sirens. While the geological hypothesis provided a terrifyingly plausible explanation for how individuals from vanished ships arrived at the well, it did not fully account for the most disturbing and consistent symptom: the profound amnesia, the shattered minds, and the haunting universal memory of a song. This is where Professor Alara Vance's expertise in geoacoustics and the broader field of psychophysics came into play, offering a chilling, rational explanation for the mystical Siren song. Professor Vance's team deployed highly sensitive hydrophones and seismic sensors within the well and its accessible cave systems. What they discovered was a complex, low-frequency acoustic environment. The immense subterranean water flows, coupled with the unique geological formations of the limestone caverns, acted as a colossal natural organ pipe. The relentless movement of water, the grinding of tectonic plates deep beneath the earth, and the sheer pressure differentials within the abyssal passages generated powerful infrasound frequencies. Infrasound, as Professor Vance explained in a recent documentary, is sound below the threshold of human hearing, typically below 20 Hz. While inaudible, it is not unfelt. These ultra-low frequencies can resonate with the human body, particularly the chest cavity and internal organs, leading to a range of unsettling physiological and psychological effects. Imagine, she illustrated, standing near a giant, silently vibrating machine. You don't hear it, but you feel it. That's infrasound at work. The effects of prolonged exposure to specific infrasound frequencies can be profound. Witnesses have reported feelings of inexplicable dread, anxiety, sorrow, even profound spiritual experiences. Some frequencies have been linked to disorientation, nausea, and visual disturbances. The feeling of seeing shadows or movement at the periphery of vision, or experiencing a general sense of presence. More disturbingly, certain resonant frequencies can induce a temporary, or even prolonged, state of amnesia or a profound disassociation from reality, particularly when coupled with extreme stress and sensory deprivation. The song, described by the survivors, Professor Vance posited, was likely the brain's attempt to interpret these powerful, non-auditory vibrations. Under immense psychological trauma, the terror of being pulled into a hidden abyss, the crushing pressure, the absolute darkness, the feeling of drowning, the mind seeks a narrative, a pattern. And these infrasonic resonances, felt deep within the body, could be perceived as a profound, compelling melody, a song that spoke directly to the primal fear and longing for salvation. The feeling of being led home could be the brain's desperate interpretation of the inexorable current carrying them towards the well, a final, deceptive comfort in the face of utter terror. Furthermore, The lack of memory could be a form of trauma-induced amnesia, amplified by the infrasound. The brain, overwhelmed by the sensory overload of the subterranean journey and the physical effects of the vibrations, simply shuts down, protecting itself by erasing the horrific details. Only the most primal, emotionally charged sensations like the song would sometimes break through the mental fog. Brother Silas's descriptions of vibrations and the feeling of tearing apart were chillingly accurate to the known effects of high-intensity infrasound. The Well of Sirens, therefore, was not a mystical portal to another dimension, but a natural, yet terrifying, acoustic trap, a place where the very geology of the earth played a silent, mind-shattering symphony. The journey into the enigma of the Well of Sirens, from the haunting chronicles of Brother Silas to the cold, analytical data of modern science, leaves us standing at a crossroads where myth meets geology and legend intertwines with the chilling realities of the human mind. We have traced the impossible path of vanished ships and their broken survivors, from the churning open sea to a forgotten inland lake, a journey made plausible by the revelation of vast, hidden subterranean conduits. We have dissected the ethereal siren song into the measurable, yet no less terrifying phenomenon of infrasound, a silent symphony capable of shattering memory and inducing profound psychological states. Yet for all the scientific illumination, for all the plausible hypotheses, the Well of Sirens retains its profound, unsettling mystery. The precise confluence of conditions required to draw a ship into its abyssal maw remains elusive, a rare and terrifying lottery of nature. The sheer scale of the subterranean passages, the crushing pressures within, and the absolute darkness that reigns in those depths still beggar the imagination. And while infrasound can explain the song and the amnesia, it cannot fully capture the chilling existential dread that emanates from the well, the sense of an ancient, indifferent power at play. Perhaps the most unsettling truth is that the ocean, even in our age of advanced technology, remains largely unmapped, its deepest secrets still guarded by crushing pressure and eternal darkness. The Well of Sirens serves as a stark reminder that beneath the familiar surface of our world, there exist other realms, other pathways, where the laws we understand bend and break. It hints at a natural world far more complex, far more dangerous, and infinitely more mysterious than our instruments can fully comprehend. Brother Silas, in his final desperate scrawl, declared, "They are not in the sea, they are beneath us." His words, once dismissed as the ravings of a man consumed by obsession, now echo with a chilling prescience. The abyss is not just the vast open ocean, it is also the hidden, lightless passages beneath the earth, the unseen arteries that connect distant realms, and the profound, terrifying depths of the human psyche when confronted with the incomprehensible. The Well of Sirens is a testament to the ocean's enduring power, not just to swallow ships, but to capture souls, to erase memory, and to leave behind only the echo of a song that promises a home, but delivers only oblivion. The tales of the Well of Sirens, its lost souls, and its haunting melody beckon us to question the very fabric of our reality. What other hidden pathways does the earth conceal? What other silent songs are whispered from the deep? The mystery endures, a dark jewel in the crown of maritime lore. What do you believe lies truly beneath the Well of Sirens? Share your theories and your thoughts in the comments below. We are the Maritime Chronicler, and the depths still hold their secrets. Until our next journey into the unknown, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the ocean always has more to tell. The Well of Sirens, a name that now perhaps chills you as it once chilled Brother Silas. We have journeyed through its shadowed history, from the inexplicable recovery of lost sailors to the monk's desperate descent into its secrets. We have peeled back the layers of myth with the sharp scalpel of modern science, revealing a geological marvel of subterranean passages and the unsettling reality of infrasound, a silent melody that can shatter the mind. Yet for all the light shed, the well remains shrouded in a profound, almost primal mystery. The ocean, it seems, has pathways we cannot chart, and voices we cannot fully comprehend. It is a terrifying thought that the abyss is not merely boundless space, but a hidden, interconnected network, a living, breathing entity capable of claiming its own and delivering them to an impossible destination, their memories scoured clean, leaving only the echo of a song. The tale of the Well of Sirens reminds us that the line between the natural and the supernatural is often blurred, dissolving into the crushing pressure and eternal darkness of the deep. It is a testament to what we still do not know, to the vast, indifferent power that slumbers beneath the surface of our world. What do you believe truly lies beneath the Well of Sirens? Is it a geological anomaly, a psychoacoustic trap, or something far older, far more enigmatic, still humming its ancient song in the dark? Share your thoughts, your theories, or other similar maritime mysteries in the comments below. Your insights deepen the lore. We are the Maritime Chronicler, and the ocean's greatest secrets are always waiting. Until our next journey, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the abyss whispers to those who listen.